you doing, Bailey?
Just another day that ends in Y. How about yourself?
You know, just another day. I barely slept the night before.
You look like you just rolled out of bed.
Every day. Every day.
What happened to the suit and everything else, huh?
Kind of depends on the mood. You know, I went to a funeral last night.
I see.
Yeah.
Depends on the mood, huh?
Depends on the mood. You know, like, you know, I like to work on my bike in the morning sometimes. Yo, Joe, thank you for the gifty sub. So.
Fair enough. So you, come to work or decide to look like, what's his name? Bonnie Gorman in, the garbage man from Philadelphia that kicks the field goals.
Yeah. You know, it's, I used to be a suit. So I was never, like, into wearing suits. There's always a consequence of having to look proper, going to business meetings, shit like that. But I feel like the more I've been in office, the more, I'm just like, listen, I'm just like every other person. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why dress up? That's kind of how I see it. It gets in the way, you know, like shaving.
Well, there is expectation as a public figure with it. Why do you think I wear the same shit every day?
Yep, fair enough. So here are kind of the bullet points of things I wanted to chat with you with. Number one was legislation. That's probably our biggest priority right now. The second was some of the DOC stuff that we had discussed previously. I want to kind of see like how things are looking, if there's anything we can do on our end to kind of assist with, you know, work release program kind of stuff. And the third, well, that's a big thing, and maybe that should wait till this evening.
All righty.
Yeah. So I'll leave the spice for the end.
I don't need any more spice in my life, my friend. What more can I take?
I don't know. Well, let's just say this is as spicy as July 3rd.
My car's in the parking lot. I'm thinking how much time I have to walk from here to there before I have to hear about it.
Yeah.
I don't need another July 3rd, you know.
I don't want another July 3rd. Yeah. But,
all right. What's the first two then?
So, up on City Hall, we got the Los Santos County event subsidies. The SEMA Act, which is low priority. That was mostly a emergency act based on the outbreak up in Humane Labs. Then we got the Los Santos Hunting Act that allows for hunting for like invasive predators. This is our biggest reason for this is predators around the oil fields, as I'm trying to send out survey teams for the
because I actually saw that one the other night, and I did want to have a conversation with you because first look at it is obviously there's a disparity that exists between y'all and the county in terms of prices, and there's a little bit of a logistical issue between those. Because now those that have been issued a hunting license at any point in time has to be denoted as to where those came from.
I love that. Can we pause on that one?
No, I don't like that.
No. I mean, I like that we're having this conversation, is what I'm saying. Because we're going to tackle some real, like, juicy stuff. Could we start with amps and the event subsidies? Those are, like, easy lifts. And then maybe we drive into the hunting one, because that's, you know, as you pointed out, there's some very interesting administrative stuff.
Yes. For example, because logistically, here's what I'll say with this, because if you want a hunting license and Blaine County wants a hunting license, I would rather make it a state priority at that point.
Agreed.
And with that becomes a realization as to, ideally, first off, one funds the other. I'm not going to be naive to this. Is it a statewide license? Who gets it from? And I'd rather have, at that point, the cost be the same. And keep in mind, once again, within our MDT, I don't have any way to demarcate whether it's a Los Santos hunting license or whether it would be a Blaine County one, unless it's actually marked on a profile.
Beautiful. And that's kind
But
of
how many people already have them, Nino?
so that's a good question. And the way that, so this is kind of like a multifaceted thing. And this is, I think this conversation falls under the same problems that we've had with some things, right? We have an idea. I know what I've requested from the feds. I know some of the conversations that I've had with them, but there is no timeline for things. I'm trying to be very vague here. I'll give a very like direct example. So
I could imagine what you're getting back right now.
Yep. So
because I'm going to be completely honest, I have put many things in front of them.
Oh, they told me they're gonna get to my stuff first. Just FYI.
Well, congratulations, Dave.
I'm just fucking with you.
I hope you enjoy it in December.
Well, they have been coming through. Like me and one of them talked about like the problem that we're facing a long time ago, like in the beginning of my administration, where sanitation was like 50% of my weekly budget, and there was no way to go into the green. Now, some of that is because of market forces, right? High demand in materials at one point, and then it went down. So we went from going negative to now we're sitting at like $70 million. It's fucking cracked. But the reason I bring up that example is 5-6 weeks ago, I had a chat with them about recycling, right? Where people in the city could recycle repair kits, and that recycling would bring money back, and that was the way to sort of offset things. And lo and behold, a couple days ago, recycling program came into play. Now, I will say that last I believe I spoke to Angel, Michael, you might have been there, and she had referenced asking for the ability for y'all to be able to create these licenses and make those distinctions. But once again, this falls under the question of, is that next week thing? Is that a December thing? And maybe we do go down the route of you get a hunting license, but the verification of it is in the MDT, because I do think the distinction is important, right? I don't want to be treading on Blaine County shit, right? Right. But at the very same time, we have lower requirements than they do. You know what I mean? Like, we're out here killing a handful of murder kitties, and they've got a full-on hunting program, right? So the needs are different. So
No, I understand that the needs are different with it, and that's entirely fine. What I don't see is, for example, $4,500 isn't exactly a whole lot of money there, Mr. Chavez.
Agreed.
Why don't we just have it as the same thing, have it universal? If you issue it or they issue it, what's the damn difference at that point?
Transparently, it is because there has been, in my opinion, some fuckery with some of Los Santos citizens over it. And this is my way of giving back to the people. I'll give you the reasons as have been told to me. And there's 4 different individuals that have called me about this. There was about a week and a half period where individuals that committed crimes in Los Santos County were, and I don't blame anyone for this. This falls into the whole like mess of like, it's like a state license, but a county license kind of thing, where they would commit a crime. They were found becoming felons in Los Santos, and they were losing a hunting license in a different county. And so I understand the logic behind why officers would do that, right? Because inherently that hunting license is only a requirement in one county. So technically when they go there and they were to, let's say, use it, they would be using it
statewide. A felony statewide.
The
is not contained to a county in
the felony is, but not the license. Right?
Correct. But regardless, because if you look at a hierarchical, whatever system you like, anything that applies on the state side to it or statewide would then therefore affect the counties below that. So if you are still a felon, which is part of a statewide felony at that point. Regardless of where you have it at, it would still apply jurisdictionally to both there.
There are some additional intricacies. For instance, what happens if the felony was the result of breaking the law in Los Santos County, but that law is not recognized in Blaine County? So committing the exact same act in a separate county would not have resulted in a felony.
Yeah.
Two things there, and apologize for my naiveness, but who are you?
Michael Rizzo.
Yeah.
All right.
With the cabinet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your role here?
My role?
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Nice to meet you there, Mr. Rizzo.
Close,
Bailey.
yeah. Judge Bailey, nice to meet you.
Yes. Now, point to me which felony is that you're referring to, and I will be happy.
More of a hypothetical, Judge Bailey.
I don't deal with hypotheticals. No what ifs.
I think, you know, without going too deep into the rabbit hole, I think we 100% agree with you. So these, you know, it comes down to, right, everything you said makes sense, 100% on the same page, but this is what has effectively been presented to us, right? And that education process of like, well, it's happening because of these things aren't necessarily palatable, right? Because people want to hear, they want to get away with shit. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone wants to get away with stuff. Come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Where do we live?
So,
Here's what I'm going to say.
okay.
I would love. It doesn't even need to be as big as a deal as, but we're probably even making this to be. I mean, because in theory, at this point, I could just go ahead and create my own hunting legislation, put it out there, just make it statewide. And then if you want to have an actual ordinance that says this is what you can hunt, go for it. I don't care. Because
That would be a
a
really good middle ground, to be honest. Mostly in terms of like removing confusion and possibly having that legislation reneged at the point we have like actual distinct county licenses.
Well, there was the other hurdle, Nino, that you know, our hunting license intended to be available to non-violent felons, which right,
yes,
which I believe
that is
necessitated the separate license being required in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, there's something that can be done with that, and there's things that could be incorporated with it. I think if I put out a universal one, then I leave it open enough that you all can dictate what it is that you need. If, for example, if Andy in the North has specific requirements, that's perfectly fine. You can outline them.
Yeah.
If you have requirements down here, I will write requirements at that point as to what actually necessitates revocation of such. I'll be done with it.
I think that would be really good. I think that would make the system a lot more like clear. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, I like that. And we're not very pressed to like pass this really quick. So like, if we got to sit on this hunting one till the, you know, state one comes out, like we're totally down with that.
Well, let me take a look at it. I can't promise it today. And
No.
I will be.
Even if it's next week. You know what I mean?
I'll be out of this city for at least a few days and late next week, if anything.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Just to kind of bring home the point is, yeah, you know, it's more the, how does the system look, right? Right now, our system looks like a statewide license, and that's kind of where a lot of people's confusion comes down, unless they're very tapped in with writing shit. You know what I mean? There's just so much fucking legislation now. It's I don't even know. Even I forget.
don't disagree. It just says it once, and there's no demarcation with it. I can see how that looks there.
Yep. Okay. All right. Easy.
Next.
County event subsidies.
County event. Here. Son, is a term to shotgunning? Is that what you like to do with these?
Oh, I've
I
heard
just-
that term. Well, I mean, we're awake 12 hours a day. Actually, our administration's awake 24/7. You know what I mean?
Last time these got posted, I was asked to review them. Halfway through, I said
Mm-hmm.
I need about another hour, hour and a half. I'm not done with them, and everything got either approved or commented on when I was not completed with it, and pissed me the hell off.
Wait, what? Was that the
The
big
last
penis and all
time
that?
that you did this, there was a master document, which I appreciate the effort to organize them. I was going through them, making comments on them, and then they just were either approved or entered to it.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, FEMA. Emergency measure to address any major disasters which affect Los Santos County to provide necessary support to the citizens.
Oh,
of
is
Los
event
Santos.
subsidies the one?
Oh, all right.
Yep. Oh my God.
Why the hell do you have to have some stupid thing like a penis act?
Oh, that one's already
the
looked at.
big peepee. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm looking at it, and there's no need to.
Why? Why? Because it's called penis?
Correct.
It's funny. Well, think about it this way, right? Listen, there's an old friend of mine. We like dick jokes.
Uh-huh. You say it's funny, but I'm not exactly laughing.
Well, you don't think penis is funny?
Son, how old do you think I am?
You're not that much older than me. I just kind of age slow.
Uh-huh. All right. Event subsidies. No money typically is now require payment organization specific purpose.
He's 55.
I'll be honest, I don't like this. Authorize or commandeer local vehicles, including etc. marine and boats to shut down. I don't particularly like that part. I think there's a better way to word it if you're going to say something with it.
Okay. Well, what are you thinking? Hold on, let me pull it up. Michael, do you mind making these edits?
Yeah, I'm here.
The intent of that is, I mean, it happens already, and the cops pretty much do it. And this is a protection for that. I'll give you an example. Someone put on a event recently with money that they put into like a glove box, and you got to go check it and shit like that. So, it's... How would you word this, Bailey? The idea is that with authorization with the police department, certain vehicles can be commandeered.
Well, commandeered is more the act of using it as their own, basically, what they're saying. And what it seems to me is to shut down areas of the city that allows for safe participation of the event. So you have two things here.
Yep.
You have, in one sentence, the actual act of taking a vehicle.
Okay.
But you don't specify how it is being used there. If you're saying commandeer, that is to use it for such events, which I can understand. For example, would it be, I don't know, people have done demo derbies, whatever the hell they want, or live at casino, right?
Yep.
What I don't want to have is that inferring that that can be done in a, how do I say this?
Commandeered is usually if you're taking a vehicle in order to like pursue something.
Correct.
What about borrow?
Relocate.
I just don't like.
No,
the
not
wording of it.
relocate. Michael, what he's saying is like commandeer is a word that PD tends to use for like.
Yeah, the vehicle's been commandeered. I understand.
Yeah.
Using it
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
purposes of official
Yeah.
business, etc.
Yeah.
Hey, you ever watch the Bad Boys there, where Mike Lowry and what's his name? They're going on a test drive, and there's Dan Marino in the Cadillac. And he shows him the badge and takes the damn test drive and says, "I'm going to beat the hell out of this thing."
Mm.
I think it's commandeered. He's using it for official police business as he's shooting at the gangsters with the dead bodies in the back.
What
What
about
about-
quarterback?
Dan Marino,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Quarterback?
Yeah, he was in the movie. I barely remember this though. That's fucking like a while ago. What about appropriate? I don't necessarily like that either because it means you're kind of like temporarily appropriate.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. I don't have the exact wording, but the way that
Yes,
is
Chat
written
GPT.
is
Give me one sec.
Yeah.
Give me one sec.
all right.
So I pay like $50 a month for this, so I got to use it for something. What is a better word for temporarily appropriating? Oh. No, that's the best. Yeah. I think commandeering, according to ChatGPT, is probably the best. It's got 3. You ready for this? It's the ones we came up with. Borrowing implies taking something for a limited period with the intent of returning it. Number 2.
Well, why don't you just define that?
What was that?
Borrow with the intent to.
Of returning it.
Uh-huh.
What if we put that in the glossary and use borrowing?
That's fine.
Okay. Michael, could you make that change?
The other part to this is shut down the area, so it should be 2 separate things. There's 2 authorizations in 1 sentence.
Bro, I wish we could do this with all legislation right here. All right.
The authorization to shut down areas of the city I would like to see or possibly have for what period of time. Afterwards, it should be reopened, etc.
Okay.
Usually just have an expected outcome with those. In terms of the actual stipulations and penalties, misappropriation of funding, receivers,
what was this one called, chat?
etc. I trust that you do have someone that is within your cabinet of individuals that is capable of actually writing a contract.
Multiple.
All right. I'd like to see some form of an actual payment contract between what you have as the city and also the individual that would be borrowing it. Because, Mr. Chavez, if you recall, about
borrowing the vehicle.
Yeah, well, I think we're on the next point there, but
Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 sec. Let me just slap it back up.
Judge Bailey, are you under the assumption that, or sorry, I know you don't deal with assumptions. It's not a loan program. This is like a grant, conditional contribution.
oh, I understand exactly
Okay.
what it is.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that, son, there was a period of time many years ago where funding could be used very lightly.
Sure.
Events could be used very lightly. And there wasn't exactly an accountability between the funding and the events that happened in the expectation. There should be, if someone actually wants to do an event, a well put together proposal with it, an approved amount of money, a documented amount of money where things actually went,
Right.
and for the totality of the amount. Should those things not match up, either that money be returned, or, as you know here, could be at that point, fraud, misappropriated funds.
Right.
I would like to see a contract between the individuals and also those that are requiring or requesting the event or providing the money as to the expectations of both, so it's clearly outlined. So if it gets to me, for example, and there's a civil or criminal action between them, there at least is a contract that has been signed about the expectations, say if there is a required repayment, whatever the hell that is.
And the terms for clawback, I assume.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure, not a problem.
I think the stuff we wrote in amps, you know, with how they break it down, we should slap that same thing into him.
Sure. Yep, not a problem.
Yep.
Does that have to be legislated, Justice Bailey, or should that be part of the guidelines that have to go along with this?
I would put it as a guidelines. If you want to have a legislation say this is a form or whatever the hell it is, they must agree to such and such form. This form is listed as here, and then that's done. Just have it
not a
as
problem.
a supplementary information. Provide the form that is there, because I don't need anybody just starting a space program and saying it's for an event,
Yep. Understood.
which we never go to space.
Michael, let's go with that. We'll throw a line in and then leave it open, because we could either do it through the city contract or use a form on losantos.me and then just have them sign that, you know?
All right. Next one.
Amps.
What are we doing with that one?
I'm gonna wait till Michael finishes it up.
If I could read this to you, Justice Bailey. Approval of funding is conditional upon the execution of a legal agreement between the LSCMO and the applicant, the details of which will be outlined in the guidelines. And then in the guidelines, we would basically...
I'll have must agree to
Bro!
contracted terms and whatever the hell conditions. You know, like
Imagine
one of
this
those,
was normalized. I've been
things that
dying
they
for
do
these
on
kind of
TV
conversations for like a
contests.
minute.
Terms and conditions apply, etc. Must
Sure,
apply.
sure,
Must agree
yeah.
to such and such. Do that.
Of course. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Justice.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right. Easy. All right. And then we got amps.
Artists and musical performance.
Bum bum bada bum bum bada bum.
All right. So, question, and I don't know the answer to this. I would like to get your thought on this.
Mhm.
Is that subsidies will be offered to offset directly operating costs of the artist and label.
Mhm.
Requests for funding must include line breakdown cost items in the full requested amount. So, by all technicality, what you're asking is that essentially labels could operate at cost.
Yes. So I'll give you the so here's kind of what I'm gonna give you some like historiography for this. 5+ years ago, the way that labels made money was they would there was kind of two routes that they would take. The first route was they would release cassette tapes, and they were paid per listen. The problem with that system was that people would use bots to and I use that word very loosely. Actually, let's not even they would have their friends act as bots and just keep over listening, And that's how people made money as musicians. You get what I'm saying? Like Michael, like I release a dog shit track and I'm like, Michael, keep listening to my tape. And because the plays go up, I'm jumping up the chart and, you know, I'm generating a bunch of money as a musician. The second was having citizens pay for tickets. The reality of this situation is that just is not, you know, something that people historically have paid for. So us in the Los Santos Mayor's office want to elevate the arts, music and the arts. We haven't tackled arts yet. That's our next project. The way that we're looking to tackle it is these labels, we want to ensure that they're getting enough money to not only pay for high quality tracks to be produced, but for concerts to be generated and to attract the populace to it. So people come to these events with a feeling of not like, hey, I'm going to be out some money. You know what I mean? They don't really have a good way to generate money today, and we want to be that avenue. Now, of the conversations that we've had with the labels, it's been rather detailed. The conversation we have with Wu-Chang, for example, is they effectively want to subcontract out based on the subsidies. Certain tracks, number of tracks be created per artist, and they would be paid for those tracks. Some of that would be paid out for a monthly concert, among other things, like paying for pyrotechnics and all that. So the short answer is yes. These people do not generate money. We want to give them a purpose. So, but we also want to make sure that, you know, how they're spending this is properly documented, so it's not, you know, $1 million going into a black hole.
I understand with that.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at and what I'm thinking is, from my perspective of things, is if we give them technicality, money, you all, rather, not we, you, because it is not my budget. And if it ever makes it across my desk as to who actually has the ownership of such song, because technically the mayor's office is paying directly to the label at that point. Does the mayor's office own the label?
No, because that's why it's demarcated as a subsidy. Just as like you wouldn't own a part of a pharmaceutical company because the government would not own a part of Pfizer for subsidizing the cost of the COVID vaccine.
All right. So the next part is you have subsidies will be offered as an offset monthly. And once you get the word subsidized. If you're going to put it as a subsidized as to what it is, is that 100%? Is that 50%? Is that 75? Is that 25? Right?
Let's remove the offset. That verbiage is, I think, unnecessary and I think confuses the language. What does that say?
A tad, because what I'm seeing it with it is essentially you are paying, or Los Santos will be paying the entirety, which it looks like.
Yeah.
If they have a total cost there,
I
you're
agree.
completely offsetting it.
Could we remove that,
it's
Michael?
a simple equation.
Just the offset bit. Because I think it's going to, because in practicality, it's going to be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and it says as such. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't know if, like, you know, December, for example, might come around and there might be some, what is it called? The Nopify may enhance itself where the subsidies end up going down.
Believe me, by all means, I want to encourage anything and everything that is artistically offered here. I think that has been quite a black hole that hasn't existed since the reopening of the city, which existed previously.
Yeah.
I just want to ensure that it is done correctly with these.
Yeah, that's our goal too. We have no intention this is always a tough bit, right? It's you know, you replace me with somebody else. I could have, though, let's say, the best intention. But like we have a full plan. Look, there you go. Look, people are hearing about it. You see that, Bailey?
What is this on Twitter?
Yeah. New song alert. So yeah, you're not wrong. It's a tough balance here, because at the end of the day, right, we're investing a lot of time with these labels to make sure that they succeed, right?
Of course.
But the difference between us doing that and us not doing that, it's not within the purview of the legislation. And
let me ask you, how many labels are actually up and running, if any?
well, there was 3 when I started my administration. Now there's 1. And
which one's that?
Wu Chang.
Uh-huh.
So there was also Copium Records, and there was, oh shit, there was one more. But effectively what happened is, I mean, it's a number of things. The first is a lot of people decided to go to college recently. But also I think, as I've been told, people have been just going broke. So the long-term plan, and we talked to Potty Hottie about this a couple days ago, is we are trying to encourage them to either A, spin off, or B, try to once the other option we went down is like, let's get these guys elevated and then encourage some independent artists to kick something off. But that becomes one of those things, like, we got to see where it goes, right? The biggest hurdle that they currently have is Party Hardy is the only one that has admin access, the Nopify. So naturally, there's like a baked in. Party is a really good guy. You know what I mean? He wants things to flourish, but the natural fact that he's got the ability to add tracks makes him in a really good position where people would naturally want to be in Wu Chang. You get what I'm saying? So it's a difficult egg to crack, at least right now.
Well, why don't we do not that we're doing it has to be legislated, but I see with this individual should be universally applied. If you want to have it for one individual and have their own label, he should be able to work with all of them. Whereas you have the possibility as maybe as a music or arts consortium, I guess, where that's
what we got. Yep.
Well, correct. Is that anybody and everyone should be able to ideally do that. And so, idealistically, he's not tied to one, but he's tied to all of them. That's
some of this conversation's really tough to have right now. If you get what I mean? So I don't disagree with you. It's just I can't respond to this in a easy way. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a fair amount of details I'm just not aware of. That I'm very naive in some of this.
No, look, I don't even have every answer either. I think the best I can say is that he's very trusted to do the right thing with this. But he's equally kind of the guy that kicked off this big label. So it's a tough one. I mean, who knows? Like down the line, it might even be, I don't know, maybe his cousin can come through or something.
All right. Well, anyway, I think we're getting too much into that part of this, but in regards to the actual offering, the cost, the offset, etc., just once again, my thought is always the potential for how this can be abused, and just clearly outlining how those payments do happen. Should it even be, for example, that it is to be applied upon, or if these are monthly instead of like a stipend, whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. Because idealistically, there are line items that are created and tracked. I just don't want glorified bullshit of fees. Administrative fee, $500,000. And what the hell's administrative fee? I don't know. You see what I'm saying?
Hit me. Oh wait, hit me with that again.
For example, if somebody submits to y'all and says there's the administrative fee, then Mr. Chavez, you are
I think that opens us up to litigation. You know.
correct. You
Yeah.
understand? I'm looking for potential avenues of abuse for this.
I think that abuse is going to happen, and I think that'll be fun for the cops and you guys. It's I'm gonna kind of tell you where I'm gonna kind of expand on this a little bit. I had a conversation because we have dispensary and weed legislation that we're writing up, and one of the biggest challenges that I have as the mayor is when I write this up, right? When we wrote up the weed and dispensary legislation, I'm going to send it your way as well. Is we had people coming to us and saying the reality of the matter is the majority of Los Santos are felons, and therefore, if we limit the workers at these locations to be non-felons, it's going to be very difficult for there to even be a workforce, and furthermore, even more difficult for it to remain open as a consequence. And while this restriction maybe sound good from a pragmatic perspective, from a practicality perspective, it's going to be dead in the water. And so is the restriction worth it, or do we ask ourselves a question that if these dispensaries are worth like $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, because there's going to be a bidding process for the medallion, quote unquote, doesn't it behoove the city as a whole that if someone did do some fuckery, right, and that there was a felon there and it was investigated, let the shit happen and then, handle it, handle the outfall. You know what I mean? Because they're not money printers, right? You kind of get where I'm going with this?
I understand where you're going with it. And here's what I'm going to say with this.
Give me just 1 sec.
Go ahead.
Alan, I'm going to call you back afterwards. I'm with the justice.
All right, you're good.
All right, easy. And if you can submit the business app, I'll
that's what I'm about to do it right now. Can we do the meeting today, like the presentation today, or do we have to do another day?
Yes, in 1 hour.
I can't do an hour, but that's fine. I'll sit out for another day.
Easy.
All
right, brother. Bye. All right, sorry about that.
So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'm also going to propose the fact that while this can happen and it can occur, and those things may eventually happen at some point, what I don't want to have happen is it being hidden behind 500,000 things and impossible to actually pursue.
Agreed.
If it's going to be there to be spelled out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that's it's finding that middle ground, right?
If they're going to, as a proverb says, to fuck around and find out, it shouldn't be hard for us to find out.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Anything else with that one?
No, I think that should be. I think that's good. You remove the line, Michael?
Yeah.
All right, easy. Bailey, we need to do this more often. Me and Michael have been dying for these kind of conversations.
I'm usually around late at night, and most of the time I'm spent with DOC at this point.
Can I wait for us to set up meetings and then I submit legislation so we just kind of work through it?
I mean, you should do it as you develop it, honestly.
Well, that's where the shotgunning came from. That I'm gonna be real with you. The shotgunning shit fucking pissed me off because this team of like 8, right? We fucking cooked 3 days straight, nonstop. Nothing against you or nothing, but it was more of a we're trying to make sure that we're coming with a clean slate, right? We want to make sure the city's moving forward. So our intention was, let's get the shit going so that businesses and all this can stop making forward progress. Unfortunately, I think sometimes actions can very quickly be misread based on assumptions and, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But, we very much, I fuck with this is what I'm trying to say, Billy. So
It's fine.
yeah,
Just understand my time is usually very occupied when I'm around.
yeah, no, yeah.
So meetings are preferred if you want to set those up. That's better. I don't
Okay.
mind looking at things by any means. It's not going to guarantee that anything passes through there.
I've no, we just want feedback, really.
Uh-huh.
So
All right. Anything
okay.
else with those?
No, that should be good. Are you gonna pass those two, or are you gonna look it over later tonight? Just so we have an idea.
All right. Anything else with the legislation things, or
Oh.
next topic there?
Wait, did you hear me? I don't know if I.
You just said I'm probably not there. Go ahead, just repeat
Oh,
yourself.
sorry. I was saying, are you gonna pass those two, and then, or are you gonna look at that later tonight?
I'd like to see the revisions of them first before I do anything with that, and it's open to a contest period still.
Oh yes. Oh shit. I am stupid. Let me do that right now.
Yeah, just update those, and then take a look at them afterwards. All right.
Updated. All right.
I just finished typing on AMP, so you may need to grab it again and send it over. Justice Bailey, while he's doing that, if I may ask you a question, you'll have to forgive my naivety.
Go ahead.
The majority of my legislative expertise is outside of the city.
Uh-huh.
When you're talking about adding in the the means by which you can find out when the fuckery happens, I am quite used to giving legal authorities those means through guidelines rather than through legislation. Is there a preference for the DOJ?
Just any way that's spelled out. I don't think everything needs to be legislation. I think guidelines are perfectly fine.
Okay, so if
But
through
as
the
long
guidelines,
as they are adhere to the guidelines and they are at least a link between legislation and a guideline that is provided.
right,
Just because the fact that legislation exists doesn't mean that a full guideline needs to be incorporated into
Right.
legislation. Guidelines can change over time. Legislation, as it's put there, should be a little bit more stricter.
right. So to say, let's say disbursement of funds is stipulated upon execution of a legal agreement as outlined in the guidelines, and then the legal agreement dictates all the find out mechanisms that are available to law enforcement, and that is executed. That would be sufficient.
As long as it's provided, the initial thing is supplementary material for us to look through, I think that should be fine. Now, obviously, that's pending, looking at it and saying, all right. Well, it doesn't say, for example, Mr. Chavez has the ability to hand out. How much money do you say in there? You have
Not
70.
defined.
it's $70 million.
Oh, the budget. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, understood, Justice Bailey. I just wanted to make sure that I'm structuring things the way that you expect them to be seen.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't have an expectation by any means.
Well,
I'm open
preference,
to
anyways.
it, but I'm just giving you more of a potential avenue that just makes it that much easier.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because we've been making sure to cover our own bases, right? Because we don't want to be doling out this shit and then finding out like a week later, like, oh wait, you can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's we're with you guys in the water trying to figure out, how to swim to the island.
Not be in the water first.
Oh, you don't like water?
I mean, it's behind me. It's perfectly fine.
Well,
I do like water,
no,
but why don't I just get dropped off at the island?
Well,
why do I have to be on the proverbial
you should
water
get
first?
you should get a helicopter license.
Me? No, I have no need for that.
What you said? Didn't you just say pilot?
Well, why can't the pilot just drop me off at the island?
Oh, I got the pilot drop you off. Oh, okay.
Hey, why do I have to be in the water?
Fair enough.
The plane crashed.
I've posted the updates to both event subsidies and amps. So whenever you'd like that, Bailey. And then we've got the SEMA Act as well. That's a very short one. Michael,
we are 10 minutes late for the Chamber of Commerce meeting. Do you want me to head
push
over
it
there
out,
or
push it out by 20
hour?
minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
push them out to the next slot.
Yeah, sounds good.
Urgency, address any major disasters, prevent disaster support, warranty, protection of locations, concepts, all right, I don't see anything wrong with that. You just want to put a place of shelter up. It's perfectly fine.
All right, easy.
Just make it known what the hell the shelter is.
Yep. It'll have to be like ad hoc, right? Because
how about put multiple of them down, wherever the hell that is.
Oh, okay.
Designate based upon the thing. If you have 4 or 5 of them, say he's a camp as such, and for example, if one is compromised, you move to the next.
All right, I like that. All right, easy. Okay, easy. Next topic. Brum, bum, bum. Can you send Justice Bailey the copy of the marijuana and the dispensary legislation?
Yes, of course.
Now, in previous conversations, inherently this legislation goes against current state laws. And the guidance I was provided was write up our proposal, and then we go to the next step, which is the conversation with the DOJ for providing an avenue by which we can, then have this conversation about, does this work? How do we make it fit in that whole jazz? So this has been reviewed by not just my board, but 25 representatives across Los Santos, between lawyers, doctors, civilians, felons, non-felons, etc. And so we're now at a stage with minor formatting changes, but the bulk of it is there. So I want to now open up the conversation of like, how do we now tackle this?
An actual dispensary?
Dispensary and a grow house. 2 separate pieces of legislation.
There's the cultivation, which would be for the grow houses. Dispensaries is coming.
If I click on this, I'm not exposing myself, am I?
You might.
Hold on, bear with me.
Yeah.
We could send him like a PDF, maybe.
I can do that.
I have it now. We're good.
Okay. Oh, Bailey, you posted in here and you said language needs to be updated and resubmitted. I already resubmitted on both of those.
Just put it as the one afterwards. It's just all tracking changes there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So I don't have to post again, is what you're saying?
Well, no, dear, absolutely you should post again. Version 1, version 2. It's like a 1.1, 1.2 there.
Oh, okay.
Just so that I can, for documentation purposes, what have been changed.
I got you.
You have the original, then you have the next one, and just makes it that much easier to understand what has changed.
I see. Do you want me to put the diff in there? Like highlight it?
You don't have to.
Okay. Easy. I got you. Chat. I've been dying.
This one I might need a little bit more time to look over.
Yep.
I don't think I can give you an
No.
thing that you're probably looking
No,
for.
100%. No.
There's
We
a lot
just wanted
more to this one than just that.
We wanted to give this to you so that we can figure out what do we do next? You know what I mean? So you've got this now. Let's maybe schedule another meeting within, whenever you're back, and maybe we tackle that then. I'll give you a bit of an overview of what you're going to see in there, like in terms of intention.
There's cultivation, Judge Bailey. Should have it now.
Isn't that what you just sent me there?
I think I may have sent you dispensaries twice. You should have cultivation and dispensaries now. If you could just verify that.
I have cultivation twice. I need dispensary.
You need dispensary. Okay, here it comes. I'm going to send it a couple times because sometimes the system doesn't always work well for me.
All right, there we go.
Great, thank you.
All right, let me. I have both in there. I'll take a look at them. I'll consider a few things. Once again, this is going to be an immediate. Here's my feedback. I'll have to think about these a little bit.
Absolutely. Just as a high level, the intention of this is, you'll see this kind of with the premise of a lot of what we've been doing is I don't want to wait for like construction to come through. There's plenty of things that are available and afforded to create new business ventures.
I understand. I don't disagree with you by any means.
Yep. And
it is. Who owns that? Is it biotechnicality? Is it independent? Is it state controlled? There is it
independent.
County controlled, rather. Is the county the one that is technically the operator of it, and they are working on behalf of a government organization, being the county at that point. Think about it as that.
Our original drafts were specifically a lot more constrained with references to county inspectors and like the whole 9 yards. The reality of the matter is, Bailey, without chopping too much, a lot of people are vacationing right now, right? And so what we did is we decided that it behooves us for the county that we sort of dial back on some of the restrictions and effectively treat it like an independent business, right? They would submit a business application, it would get approved, and then they would, as a collective, actually, before they even put the business app in, that individuals with a clean record would be able to bid for operating the dispensary and the cultivation place. 2 separate medallions.
I love that, Paul. I would love to see people put together a damn plan, and here's the expectation.
Yes. And because they've inherently...
I would rather see that in competition between individuals and actually do the damn thing. If they're serious about it, put some time into it.
Yes. Yep. Well, it would be 2-part, right? They got to put the time into it, but then also put down the money. Now, the money factor is, I think, the biggest deterrent. Because when you think about the amount of money that's floating around, people are going to have to put their dick down, money-wise. And that is effectively their risk factor, right? If someone goes and the highest bid is like $1.5 million, people are less likely to fuck around with it. Will they? Sure. I mean, it's possible, right? But that we found is probably the most like palpable for everybody, sort of like mitigating factor.
Have you spoken with the medical group by chance with any of these?
I have.
Yep.
Because I would like to have some sort of, for example, if they are growing a certain thing, and I know where there's strands, right? I don't know too much about genetics of plants and everything else around there, but in regards to identification, I'm aware, I think PD has the ability to identify them, right?
Yes.
So if we think about what it's being used for, how that is distributed, if it is found in such a manner that is outside of guidelines as what those things can and cannot be used for, because we're technically allowing, obviously, a scheduled medication to be put out, right?
Oh, so well, we actually... Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
I'm actually working with Dr. Naya Nashville on this. She has medical marijuana legislation in draft format that covers exactly everything you just said, including the ability to identify medical marijuana separately from potentially other sources of marijuana.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If you have that as well, send that over. I think there's a lot to this program that just in setting it up, just make sure that we're covering our bases with it.
Of course.
Yep. All right, easy. Good shit. Okay. All right. I think that's everything for legislation that got us caught up on. Is there anything that we got to ask Bailey legislative wise? Because I think the shit that we've submitted, we're like, that's it. That's like an end game at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you that now, Justice Bailey.
Alrighty.
Bro, we're done writing legislation. This is the finish line.
There you go.
I don't think there's any other piece of legislation we really need to write.
Alrighty. I'll take a look at it. Apologies, Nino. I'm going to store this in our email.
You're good?
All right. Just as a reminder, this is something I need to do. Alrighty.
Yep, absolutely. And the next thing. So I'm going to be rather careful here because I'm going to stop by dancing around this because I do not want to conflict you.
Don't dance, just ask me what the hell you are. I don't like dancing.
We had an incident with Justice Angel yesterday, and we feel like it's not only unbecoming, but it's bordering questions of reach of power among a bunch of other. We don't know what the fuck is going on. And so I'm going to tell you what I experienced from my purview. And
Let me stop you there then.
Okay.
Because there's an avenue that individuals can obviously take with it.
Yes, and this is what we need to understand.
If you want to go, if you're going or thinking about any avenue that you potentially may, or where I think whatever you're saying is going to end up in, don't conflict me.
Yep. So this goes to the next question. How do we do this when okay, I'm going to talk in generalizations without it being relevant. Okay. I'm going to try my best here. Michael, stop me if I'm going too far.
Yeah, I got you.
If we go down this route, can it be immediately shut down?
It can obviously be contested and those be brought forth in a public forum, because should anybody, it's in the legislation there, should anyone feel called out with it, they do have the right to respond to things. As things are presented, evidence needs to be complete. This is not an ongoing thing that happens. Evidence that is submitted in authority and conduct reviews, etc., need to be complete and filled out. Okay. Should those things happen, and I don't particularly take sides with anything. In terms of me telling you how to do these things, it's more the fact that if you do submit something, and she has the full right and responsibility to respond to those as well and contest, because just as a court case does, there is prosecution, there's defense. If you're offering something that is like to a prosecution, they do have the ability to defend. Afterwards, what happens is myself, if I am not conflicted on this, I then go have a conversation with the fine governor, Mr. K. Oil. That's how usually those happen.
Okay. Okay. And is this what was not clear to me when reading over this is this a hearing? Does it start with a posting to the docket? some of the things I outlined, let me bring it up. So I looked at this last night. Is it a hearing?
It's a good question.
Okay. Look, we'll put
Because
something together
I'm
and
going
then
to
we'll.
tell you it hasn't been done. But would it be a
Okay.
hearing? I think it would be a public forum. If you call it a hearing, sure, maybe. In terms of how that's outlined, it's more to hear the accusations being brought forth. What do you have as consideration on the other side? What would you like to present? And then we do an actual review of that between, like I said, the governor and whoever else is not conflicted.
Okay. All right. That gives us enough to start going on, and then we'll move forward. Okay.
If it is not contested, which I imagine things would be, then it just passes automatically to the review side.
Okay. Okay. Are we talking about contesting right now or impeachment?
Authority conduct reviews and impeachment are the same two things there.
I got you.
Because, for example, just because it exists as the actual thing that says impeachment doesn't exactly mean that that is all encompassing. Authority conduct reviews are, and with the impeachment legislation there, doesn't mean that they are inherently removed. It could be a suspension, it could be a slap on the wrist, could be whatever.
Understood. Okay. Then let's hit the third thing, which was the DOC. I am fielding phone call. I don't want to say fielding. I mean, I'm very interested in moving forward with the DOC Los Santos work release program. So, if whenever you're back, I'd love to do like even a test run and help accommodate with that. And
here's where I'm at with those right now. I'm sure you're aware that I've hired guards, and as we bring things into structure, there's obviously growing pains with happening, right? And as those growing pains happen, and you start to put a structure around those that are unstructured, or those that are lawless, for example, that now become falling under some sort of law, there's obviously going to be some sort of falling out, right? You think about it as, I don't want to liken it to on a much smaller scale, but think about Sanguine, for example. Right? Tried to govern and put structure around them, and they decided to revolt around it. It's the same thing that in a miniature scale is happening within the prison itself.
what the fuck? Wait,
I'm not saying an actual mini Sanguine. What I'm saying is that,
well,
obviously, at some point become
like with the guards or with the prisoners?
With the guards and the prisoners themselves, and also
Jesus.
temporary individuals that are there. So when I tell you that I go up there and I have conversations with guards, the usual first thing that comes out of their mouth is that, was stabbed twice today, I was thrown off a damn tower. And so when I hear these things, how do I reward behavior like that?
Yeah.
It becomes much harder for me to encourage individuals to obviously, first off, as a guard, stay around, and I have to obviously empower them. I know that you and I had spoken quite some time ago about the possibility of me arming them, and I had not had them with any sort of weapons or firearms for a period of time. The unfortunate part is most of the prisoners at some point had firearms. And so essentially it became sitting damn ducks, and the power was given to the people with a damn firearm, as you can imagine. Or individuals that decide they want to jump in and just shoot down the guards for whatever reason there is. So, at this point I have given them state issued weapons licenses are obviously revoked if they don't do the job or you abuse it, whatever the hell it is, so that they can buy their own. But at the same time, these things that are happening within the prison, when I get up there, which I frequently am there, needs to be in the regards that they're actually performing. They want to be in this work release. They're not throwing my guards off a damn tower. They're not murdering individuals. They're not running at guards with knives. How do I reward someone for doing that? Usually I put them in damn solitary. I don't say go into work release. My friend, that is not the case. I do have currently, and I'm going to say I have a guard as of maybe about 4 days ago that has put together a document. I'm not going to say the
Money, thank you for the
entirety of
2 months.
process
Yo, chat,
behind it, but
25
there's more
away.
to the eye that meets it, because unfortunately I have to deal with felons as guards as well that leak things. So I put a track behind a few things and see how that works. That's the level of the things I have to do right now, Mr. Chavez. I literally have to have bait and switches.
Oh my God. I feel like you're being challenged with the Sweden versus America problem. You know what I mean by that?
No, I don't. Explain that.
Well, the American incarceration system is effectively privately owned incarceration facilities around the United States, which mostly treat prisoners as pests of society, where rehabilitation and correction is not their primary purview, but rather just making sure that they are not a problem and the cost of taxpayers the least amount of money. So subsequently, when these individuals are released, they're oftentimes in a much more problematic end circumstance, thus leading them back into incarceration. So it becomes a vicious cycle. What Sweden,
correct.
cyclical, yes. So where in countries like Sweden, even in some of the most vile cases of, murder, etc., prisoners will be put into rather decent facilities, are ensured that they're given education, and given amenities like video games and all kinds of things like that. And as a consequence of that, there is statistically shown that countries like Sweden, when their inmates are released, they tend to what's the word?
Reintegrate into society.
Yeah, reintegrate into society a lot better. So where I'm going at with this is, yeah, these guys are bored and they're fucking shooting up shit because, whatever. But if provided the opportunity, you never know if that opportunity is going to turn them around. Now, if they're given this opportunity and they fuck around, well, then you ban them. Well, okay, not like, you know what I'm saying. Night Bus, they got the 29 months.
Oh, well, yes, I understand what you're saying.
So,
well, it could be the other way as well.
Yeah, true.
Mr. Chavez, let me explain to you my vision that I would actually enjoy, and what I have worked towards with prison, and have put in front of more people than you could possibly imagine at this point. When, by the way, I speak with them and explain what I'm trying to do, I liken it to almost like a lobbyist, basically working on their behalf, if you can understand, is the things that potentially could happen. By all means, you're aware of, warehouses and, how people have ownership of them and whatnot. It'd be extremely nice, and this is pie in the sky, right? Is that biotechnicality? The prison was owned, per se, by the Department of Justice, and as an ownership, just as you have in your house, you can decorate it as you please, right? That would be the first thing. By the opening of, for example, a warehouse inside of we have a cell block 8 for the cultivation of food and manufacturing of repair parts, just with, as you mentioned, sanitation.
Okay, I like this.
Subsidized costs of repairs.
This is a cool idea.
Because first off, as we have, and I pointed out to someone, nothing is declared whether it is for profit or non for profit. I keep that in mind with this individual, right? Not to say that I want to put this as a cash cow, because that is not the case. I would rather subsidize costs of others, and my intent is never to make money. Frankly, I lose money every day that I'm here. But I would like an actual ecosystem and economy to exist. I would like individuals to feel like they have a part in contributing to a greater society. Those are things, those are plans which I have documented, written down, and who knows, maybe it's a December thing at this point.
Yeah. I got a call from Gary, I believe, requesting something very similar. I made it very clear that that is outside of my purview, but you know, conceptually, I think that is a amazing idea.
Well, that's what I've been working on since literally day zero.
Yeah.
And I think we're about 3 months into this at this point, maybe 4.
I think it's worth considering, though, Bailey, that, you know, just as it took 6 weeks for my little recycling thing, you know what I mean? You never know. You could wake up one day and there it is. But, you know, what are the options up until then, right?
Well, that's what I'm working with.
Mm.
That's what I'm trying to, as I said about 4 or 5 days ago, is to have those.
Like, let me give you an idea. What if I were to find some businesses in Los Santos County that would be open to the idea of letting in prisoners into, say, their big farm building, and you have them farm for a couple hours with a teacher and all that, you know what I mean? Or go into a machining place to make car parts. Not only are they contributing back, you know, by making food and all this, but it's allowing you to sort of pre-screen individuals that you might want at the forefront of your project in the prison when the time does come.
I don't disagree with it. And I would be open with it. I have to consider guard-wise, how does that work with them? But see, there's a reason why not.
Yeah. So
at the same time, I don't want them to think that this is an everyday occurrence.
Of course. But, you know, consider it an event. You know what I mean? But I'm serious. You know what I mean? Like,
I think those things have different connotations depending who you ask.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Bailey. We got to go to these business presentations. But I really appreciate the feedback that you provided. And if you have we'll get the SEMA thing posted. The other 2 ones are posted. And as for the 4th one, we'll wait for the statewide legislation to go through.
The hunting one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just put in there something about that. Hold on. The more that I actually put down, the less I forget.
Yep. Trust me, I'm the same way. I had someone who gave me legislation apparently 3 weeks ago, and they texted it to me, and I'm like, brother, I wake up with unread things. It's very easy to miss shit.
Oh, I understand that. I lose track of time. Apparently, I proved something a day early and wasn't even my intention behind that. It just happens as I see it and I just do it. There's enough things that, believe me, I don't pay attention to everything that comes across.
Yep. Wait for...
Anything else there?
Nope. That should be good. Oh yeah. All right.
Thanks, Justice Bailey. Appreciate the clarification and the civil conversation.
All right.
Of course.
Oh my God, this Michael is such a... All right. I see what he did there. All right. Tilly's awake. Let me just let her know to...
Yeah, I let Tweety know that we pushed hers to 1, and Finn Schmidt is waiting there. I told him we'd be there as soon as possible.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Is Manx around?
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Could you give him a call?
Sure.
I don't know if Bailey's still got time, but, you know.
Oh, for the...
Yeah, I'll let him know, like...
a few things that I need to be doing.
Easy. No worries. Oh, while I got... last couple seconds here, we have a lot of people that are putting in business proposals, but to make their life and your life easier, it'd be nice if we could schedule like hey, on this day at this time, Judge Bailey are gonna look through the business proposals so they know how to be. You get what I'm saying? Because they got to be around, and then a judge has got to be around. Maybe could close the gap with a scheduled time.
Make
You know
it
what I
a
mean?
Business Friday, whatever the hell it is. Just send me a calendar invite, whatever the hell. It's
Okay.
fine.
Easy.
You are aware by
Oh.
chance that you are
There
you
might be
are
a shootout.
requiring LS citizens to pay $100,000 for businesses at this point, correct?
Nope, not anymore. We changed it.
All right.
Right, Michael?
And so I thought it was 50,000.
You have 50,000 for your license, and I also have as a statewide thing that they require 50,000 for all license. If you have a license that is independent for Los Santos County, I'm still charging them 50 for statewide because that is what is part of our legislation.
Yes,
You
yes,
have
yes,
50,
yes.
And I already have it. I'm just saying you're aware that it does cost $100,000 to open a business in Los Santos County.
Is it 50 to you guys and 50 to us? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what you have as written as, yes. And as we have it in our legislation, the actual license which we give them costs 50,000. So by any means, anyone opening a business within inside of Los Santos is therefore subject to $100,000 in startup fees.
Oh, yeah. It was, but we removed that with stab 1.1, I believe. I'm gonna double check though, just in case. Actually,
All right.
separate question. Once something passes the 3-day window, can we post it up, or do we gotta wait for you guys to flag it?
Usually, I mean, I don't know. It's a good question. Let me think about that.
Okay, easy. Thank you very much.
I
I
actually
appreciate
have one more, if you don't mind, really quickly. I've been trying to become a county clerk for about a week and a half. Is there any way you can give me some direction on how I can go about getting that done?
Let's see here.
Oh,
I was told to look for an Alex Domino, but
Correct.
I haven't seen them awake in quite some time.
Just shoot him a tab.
yeah, we did remove it.
Not yet, but I
Alex is
can.
usually around at different odd hours. You might
Sure,
want to
sure,
shoot him
sure.
a text.
Yeah, will
All
do.
right.
I do
Thank
see
you.
Alex around here and there, so if you don't get him the first time, just ask him and
Yeah.
maybe y'all can be together. All right.
Appreciate that. Will do. Thank you, Justice.
All right,
Bailey.
easy.
Appreciate you.
You take care. Oh, we're not fucking with your vehicles anymore, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, easy. You know what? Maybe we'll get you guys some free repairs too. I mean, you guys do live down in Los Santos County. Let me see if I can cook something.
Hey, I'm happy to pay. It's fine.
All right. Oh my God, brother.